There's a neat rising valley far over the hills, by Livornia embracing the village and mills, where the people for ages come thronging to pray for cures on Whit Sunday and St. Abby's Day. Not the vale of Avoca so painted by Moore, Glendalough or Glengariff or old Glenmalure, not the falls of Niagara nor bright Avondale are as charming to view as this beautiful vale. It is sweet to come here when midsummer is nigh, twixt two stately mountains approaching the sky, where the strong mountain ash and the oak trees high grow, or a neat rising town that's embosomed below. In years long ago, as our history paints, when Ireland was titled the Island of Saints, it was here that St. Abbey erected her shrine, where you're cured by the power of our Maker divine. So devoutly come here and implore on your knees of the glorious saint who made soldiers of bees, to grant your request and lay down each complaint with devotion and faith at the shrine of the saint.
This next piece is a piece called Gubnet's Well, and that transitions into Gubnet's March. It's an original composition. The cello soundscape was created by Alec, inspired by the text of a non-sacred prayer that I wrote, inspired by visiting the Honan Chapel in UCC. We went to see Harry Clarke's image of Gubnet, his stunning stained glass, and I was so taken aback by how ethereal and powerful, and her quiet strength, how that was all captured in this stunning piece of art. So I wrote an address to her, a prayer to her, asking if she knows about the Sulán and the curse it allegedly carries, and, you know, does she know about Balivornia and what it is today, and asking her where we draw the line between who she was as a woman and who she became as a goddess and a saint. And so that's the spoken word prayer you hear over Alec's piece. And on top of that, there's also a little prayer that I wrote inspired by one that we read up at the well, up at Gubnet's Well here in Balivornia. And that prayer is, tie a ribbon round and round and hold it to your heart, where the sad ones leave their sorrows, those who pass but never part. And it was a beautiful, really gorgeous, sweet little prayer, and I sort of created it out of a patchwork of other prayers I'd seen to Gubnet around the place. And that transitions then into Gubnet's March, which is just a melody that sort of calls to mind her fieriness and her desire, her will to protect and defend Balivornia, with the bees that she turned into soldiers and the raiders that she fended off, and the disease that she warded off as well with her incredible power. So I hope you enjoy it, and the text of that is available if anyone would like to see the text of the piece as well. O painted sister veiled in
blue, a chailach, a hinian bui. What do you know of the town you loved beside your lovely Lee? Gan mass age don vil no don vach, there winds the cursed Sulan. Enticing souls you sought to save his bed to rest upon. Dinna trúr de foracha, ban rian áitiúil, your placid face belies a wrath for he that scorns your rule. Agobnet, goddess of Ulhig Vusgri, you were of woman too. Cá herring mud na línta seo, luach for a atarhu. Agus there sits Balia Vornia, safe in your graceful hand. A hive in every home, agus bech I chulachan. So loss oh no loss is the Irish for solace from pain or solace from sorrow, and it is a piece inspired by a story that we learned here at the Ionad from Sheila about two extraordinary local women, and it's a story that in a way is very universal to many people, but I found her personal story to be really striking and something that I thought was important to try and distill into a song in some way. So I took their story, mythologized it a bit. I don't have personal kind of experience of their life, so I couldn't assume to capture everything that they went through. But the song is a lullaby from a mother to a child, and the mother has taken her child home from the laundries, and she is protecting her. She's vowing to fiercely protect her and to love her. She tells her that Goblet will be her grandmother and the Hawthorn will be her brother and her friend, and they'll find solace in the Vale of Muscree. So the song it goes from a soothing, sorrowful lullaby into this powerful declaration of strength, and I think it really captures the power of so many women that live here in Ballyvornia and people we've had the privilege of meeting and getting to know a little bit. So hopefully it goes some way to capturing that story, and I hope you enjoy it.
I played no part in choosing you, Storeen. When the time came, I knew you by name. I knew you crying, a room filled with crying. I knew your face and I claimed you as mine. I took you home to a quiet reception. No coos and cries from my sisters or kin. Lovingly hand-crocheted stockings and gansy were kept for those others not born of sin. Mama won't swaddle my babe when I'm weary. Daddo won't carve you a bauble chrí. Your tiny gold curls must only by Mama, rosy cheeks kissed and your tears dried by me. Sunny hat or close the howl on the night. We will find solace in the vale of Musgrave. Friska na slave the nivel me dugna. She gobna do amo dachar and skakjal. Sunny hat or close the howl on the night. Yo ambit solace in leon Musgrave. Friska na slave the nivel. I played no part in choosing you, Storeen. When the time came, I knew you by name.
When we first came to Ballyvornia back in July, we learned about Gobnit's Day, which is a beautiful day on the 11th of February when people come from miles around to come and pray to Gobnit, to do a pilgrimage, to do the pattern. They'll take a length of ribbon and they'll measure it along an ancient medieval statue of Gobnit, and they'll measure it along her length and they'll measure it around her neck and around her feet, and then they will take that ribbon and they'll take it to the rag tree up at her well and they'll hang it there with some kind of offering or a prayer or a wish, or they might tie it around an ailing limb or around the sore throat, or they hang it in their car for safety against the rear view mirror. So it's a beautiful idea, and when we heard about it we learned that it's called Gobnit's measure. That length of ribbon is Gobnit's measure, or in Irish, Tóas Gobnitan. And the words themselves, as well as all of the involved ideas and images, call to mind the measure of a person and how we measure someone's value, someone's virtue, and the standards we hold people to. And Gobnit seemed to me, from everything I've learned from the people here in Ballyvornia, to be a very forgiving and welcoming and kind and compassionate character, not someone to be feared, but someone who will heal and take care of the people here. So we wrote this piece, and it's called Tóas Gobnitan. It is a sort of a non-sacred prayer, a song of adoration to Gobnit, never mentioning her in the song, but drawing on all of those ideas. And we do talk about Abigail and Deborah. Abigail and Deborah are both translations of the name Gobnit. Abigail is the Hebrew word for bringer of joy, or father's joy, ironically enough, because Gobnit was suggested to have been sent from her home by her father. And Deborah is the Hebrew word for bee, and Gobnit is the patron saint of bees. And so we bring those names into the song. And this is very different to anything else we've written during the residency. It's much more on the pop contemporary side of things, but for me, I feel it captures another side to her as a modern goddess and saint, and hopefully you think the same.
Her measure is forgiving. She won't judge me on the past. She will take me as I'm given, and the choices I made last. And when I go to her in trouble, well, she'll take me in her arms, no questions asked. my Abigail, my Deborah, my cause of joy and light. Ooh, ooh. Her measure is a healing, she is shelter from the rain, she is water for the grass that grows, a balm to ease the pain. And when I return from far away, she takes me in her loving arms again. Ooh, ooh. My Deborah, my cause of joy and light.
So finally, we have a suite, which is called, the first piece is called On Sulan, which was created by Alec. It's followed by a song called Cronan na Mach, which is the Song of the Bees in Irish. And that then transitions into the Cronan na Mach jig, which Hannah arranged for piano. So I'm going to let Alec talk about On Sulan, which is the piece that he created.
Yeah, so during the second part of our second time in our residency, we took a trip up to Cooley, and I found myself really attracted to the river, and so I, even knowing the curse of the river, I kind of waded in to the middle of the river and found a rock and sat down and just took in all of the power and the energy that the river, like everything that was happening around me. And then we came back to the Ionad, and I was moved to write this soundscape piece of the Sulan. So you'll hear, it starts with the droplets of water hitting against the rocks, and then moves on to the drone of the river, the sheer power that it has. And then if you imagine that you're in the river traveling down from Cooley, you come to the stone bridge and where the curse is written, and that's kind of portrayed by the minorish drone. And then the melody of the Cooley jig represents the lost souls who have perished in the river, calling out. And then at the end of the piece, there are 7 kind of beats that I do on the cello to represent the 7 years, because the curse says that every 7 years someone is taken from the river. So yeah.
And when we heard that piece, it came across sort of like to me as sort of this chaotic dreamscape, this sort of nightmarish sort of thing. And there's beauty in it, but there's also this sort of fear and power and strength in it. And so I went on to write Cronan na Mach, which is from the point of view of a young girl who's just woken from a dream where she believes the river is calling to her. It's the 7th year and it's time for the river to claim a life, and she has had this dream where she believes it's her turn to go to the river. So she walks to the river bright and early in the morning, leaving her family asleep in their beds. And when she gets there, Gubnit comes to her in the form of the bees, and they sing to her and they tell her that there's lots of darkness and shame and sin in this world, but the blame is not on her, and to go home and to go to bed. And so it's this beautiful, soothing sort of balm to that sort of darkness that she went through during the night. And then, of course, Hannah took the melody of that and created this incredible jig for piano, which brings us back into the daylight and brings us back into lightness. And Alec joins her on cello in that as well. And it's the closing piece to the suite, and has its own energy and its own life to it as well. And I think the 3 pieces combined capture an awful lot of what we've sort of experienced of the folklore and life here in Ballyvornia, and the beauty of the natural world that surrounds this place. And hopefully those of you who are watching and listening and who have come here will hear and see that as well. And those of you who are from here think that we've captured your place in some small way. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Emma Langford. I'm joined by Alec Brown, Dr. Alec Brown on cello and on flute, and Hannah McGarrett on piano.
Michel en Sudan, Michel en Sudan, Forfader Feren, Michel en Sudan, Forfader Feren, and Michel Kawe Handina. An vaden chinuna gagushik she, from a dark night of troubling dreams. Oh, the sky was the warm hue of honey, forging gold in the well and the stream. Dog she a clown in a lion, and the walk was the longest it'd been, when she answered the call of the river. Glenach rev bardi hedi. Ach a chalin bis sakir, a chalin bis over, taker gogin nachtja ik kroeg vannacht. A chalin bis sakir, a chalin bis over, taker gogin nachtja is a nakja. Bach. An should I bruchen to line, in her ear the song of the bees was a lullaby lulling her safely while ya needed shan rodshaw a chri. Gan chan tat gan faka tatu. In this world there are shadows galore. Ach, beloved in of muskri, the earth's and Milan a store. A chalin bis sakir, a chalin bis over, taker gogen nachtjak e kroeg vannacht. A chalin bis sakir, a chalin bis over, taker gogen nachtjak is a nachtjaun. Bach.